Welcome back. Today in our Sunday Spotlight, big sports events are big betting events across the country, and that's true of tonight's football finale. What's also true is that gambling has become a big problem for college students. That's something Chief Investigative Reporter Sam Smink is digging into in a piece you'll see tonight on Eyewitness News after the game. Sam, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me. Well, it's a very important topic. We see it everywhere. I mean, you're constantly seeing it throughout any professional game, college games sometimes. I saw a billboard the other day for DraftKings. Gambling is everywhere, and a lot of the experts who are studying addiction and trying to help with problem gambling say it simply. Like, you used to have to go to a casino to gamble. Now a casino is literally in your pocket because it's on your phone. And so what they've seen is a big rise, especially in young men, that college age to 35, in betting too much, just getting in over their head. I mean, I know multiple men around that age group that they're constantly thinking about betting. And the reason it's gotten so popular is not only because of the accessibility, just because it's also just the access, and it's such a part of the culture now. We interviewed some people that say, my friends were doing it, so of course I did it.
Well, you talked about, and that's what we heard a lot on this show when we were talking about legalizing sports betting, is people saying, well, wait a minute, now instead of you having to get in your car and drive to Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun, it's in your pocket. But I thought it was interesting in looking at your piece that the college difference is it used to be you either had to find a bookie or you just had to set up a little bet with your friends, which for sure happened. But now it's much more anonymous. It's much higher stakes if you want it to be. It's legal. And it's in your pocket all the time. Is that one of the challenges? Is that some of the barriers have come down?
Exactly, because we often say that, you know, with drug or alcohol addiction, although not in all cases, it's fairly noticeable that someone may be suffering from that addiction. But with a gambling addiction or a sports betting addiction, it's not on the surface obvious. You know, we spoke to one person who actually suffered from addiction himself, who says, you know, a resident RA might see a group of guys night after night together watching a basketball game. And on the surface, that seems harmless. They're all getting along. He's like, but there might be one or two people in there that they have big money on that. And they can't stop betting on that. And so for them, it's like, yes, they're hanging out with their friends, but they're also feeding their addiction over and over again. So their idea is they want people to be able to kind of help with that because it's not on the surface so obvious.
Now, as you said in your intro, I mean, anybody who's watched a sporting event in the last couple of years has seen all these ads. They're for sure ubiquitous. You can't possibly miss them. But if we want to watch your story, we got to tune in tonight after Super Bowl.
You do.
So you brought a little preview, though, for us. So tell us what you got.
We did. So I want you to hear from Brian Dolan. He's currently a advisor he runs the Sacred Heart College Recovery, or it's a recovery collegiate program. He used to be addicted to gambling himself, and now he's come to the university where he was a student himself to help people not only with gambling addiction, but with drug and alcohol. All
right, let's take a look.
I'll get a call from a family, not necessarily here at Sacred Heart, but at schools, Ivy League schools, Big Ten schools. My son just lost $50,000. What do I do?
So, yeah, we just heard him say his son, some called and said their son lost $50,000. What do you do? It's a huge problem, and it's got to be something that if parents are watching right now or watching your piece later on tonight and thinking, you know, I have a child on a college campus, it's a new kind of question that a parent has to ask, added to that list of all those parent talks about drugs and safe sex and security and all that. Now you got to talk gambling.
Exactly, and everyone we talk to, nobody wants gambling to be illegal. They just want people to know there's help and resources out there. And one big thing parents should be doing, both Brian and other experts in our story say, have those conversations. We have conversations about drugs and alcohol and everything else that can exist on a college campus. But this is a big part of college campuses now, so just talk about it. We talk with one student who does have a handle. They only bet their winnings. That's okay, but for other people, they're just betting so much money. And, you know, Brian says because he's in the Northeast, he does some private work outside of the university systems. He is talking to families with a little bit more money. So they lose these big amounts, might not hit their wallets that bad. He's like, but these are also big amounts that these kids are betting in the first place, which would have been unbelievable when you had to go find a bookie in the first place.
Well, and it's, you know, the part of college, there's certainly things to learn, but it's also training you to be an adult, right? And if you're training yourself to bet large sums of money. Maybe mom and dad can cover you now, but in a couple of years, it's going to be a major problem.
And that's one of the things the psychologist said is a lot of times where the gambling, they do these advertisements specifically towards young men in college age is because right now they don't have to pay for a house or a car or a family. So they think they have the option to risk a little bit more. They have they can maneuver that because they're not making those monthly mortgage payments. But then, we heard from the Connecticut Problem Gambling Helpline coordinator that people are calling them and saying, I just spent my entire college fund.
No, it's certainly a huge problem. Their calls up 93%. So I'm going to give you the number. If you or someone in your family, 888-789-7777. That's the problem gambling number. Sam, interesting stuff. Tonight, after the game, after a premiere, on Eyewitness News, your I-Team piece looking at all this.
Absolutely.
Tune in. All right, thanks, Sam. That is CT24 for this week. CBS Sunday Morning's coming up next. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll meet you back here in Studio A next Sunday morning.